Are we repeating history? Part 2. On the world stage, the likely rising powers or power centers for 2025 to 2035 are not identical to those of the 1930s either. The United States remains unusually strong in AI and finance. India still looks like the fastest-growing major economy in current IMF and OECD projections. China remains a major power, but its growth path is slowing, which raises concerns about its long-term economic stability and global influence. Europe is weaker demographically and economically than the U.S., but stronger militarily than it was a few years ago because of rearmament, which has been driven by increasing security concerns and geopolitical tensions in the region. So, at the same time, forced displacement remains massive around the world. UNHCR reported 117.3 million, we have the war in Ukraine and now Iran, forcibly displaced people worldwide at the end of June 2025. So you could ask me, what is the core match and what is the mismatch that I see? The match is debt, overconfidence, fragmentation, nationalism, both good and bad. Remember, globalism means someone somewhere is making all the rules for you, that taxation without representation thing. And elite distrust, the far right and far left and a little in the middle, can reinforce each other quickly. The mismatch is this. Today's system has more shock absorbers. The IMF still projected global growth of 3.3% in 2026 and 3.2% in 2027 in its January 2026 update, while the World Bank projected 2.6% growth in 2026 and 2.7% in 2027. That is slowdown and strain, not depression collapse. Let's now discuss the UN 2030 agenda. Officially, it is a 2015 UN General Assembly framework built around 17 Sustainable Development Goals covering poverty, hunger, health, education, energy, work, inequality, cities, climate, institutions, and partnerships. The UN describes it as a plan of action for people, the planet, and prosperity. It is not a treaty. Its follow-up mechanism is voluntary, country-led, and state-driven through voluntary national reviews, which allows nations to assess their progress and share best practices in achieving sustainable development goals. So, what are they building for our future? Is it socialism or collectivism, Zoran Mamdani effect? However, it is not yet being implemented in the traditional sense. The UN's own financing architecture explicitly leans on private business, investment, innovation, financial inclusion, and public-private coordination. So the evidence does not yet support the claim that Agenda 2030 is pure socialism or collectivism. A better label is technocratic multilateral governance, the Zoran Mamdani effect at a global level, which involves many targets, metrics, coordination, and pressure for policy alignment across states, firms, NGOs, and international bodies. Critics see collectivism, I am one of them, drifting in with a little style. Supporters see a practical framework for cooperation. Yeah, right. Both sides are reacting to something real in the text. So, are we looking at dystopia or utopia? As written, it is neither. However, it is a blueprint, for now, not a final regime. It becomes dystopian if and when their targets become excuses for centralized power without our consent, transparency, star chamber hearings, or local accountability. It becomes constructive when goals stay voluntary. We will see how long that takes, measurable and subordinate to national self-government and human dignity. The text itself is voluntary and multi-stakeholder, but the implementation style is plainly managerial and global in tone. The irony is that even by the UN's own scorekeeping, the project is struggling badly. Thank God. In 2024, the Secretary General's report said only 17% of targets were on track. In 2025, the UN said only 35% of assessed targets were on track or making moderate progress, while 18% were going in reverse. Yes. So the system is not steamrolling the world into a polished utopia. It is falling short, unevenly, under conflict, debt, climate strain, and political fragmentation, which highlights the challenges faced by various nations in achieving sustainable development goals. Now, so we are all on the same page, here are a few voices worth keeping in mind. Up first, we have Roosevelt, a socialist if you ever saw one, who warned us against fear itself in 1933, because panic can destroy a nation before policy does. Antonio Guterres, he seems to be Zoran Mamdani on the global stage, warned in 2025 that the SDGs were alarmingly off track. Pope Francis warned in 2025 that human dignity must never be violated for the sake of efficiency. Those three lines point to the same truth from different angles. Fear, drift, and technocratic pride all become dangerous when institutions are weak and people are desperate. So, my friends, here is the thought experiment for the next 10 to 15 years. This study is not prophecy. It is a scenario exercise built on the present drivers. First path, managed fragmentation. Trade blocks harden but do not break the system. Growth slows but stays positive. The U.S. stays strong in AI and energy. India rises. China remains powerful but slower. Europe rearms and becomes more security-minded. NATO has been a welfare state of America for too long. The UN misses many 2030 goals, thank God, but the world muddles through with partial adaptation. That is plausible because of the IMF, World Bank, and OECD. Still see growth, not a collapse, even amid trade tensions. Second path, debt and fragmentation squeeze. Tariffs, shipping shocks, war risk, and aging populations raise costs faster than growth, leading to increased financial strain on both consumers and businesses. Governments borrow more. Governments borrow more. Bond markets become less forgiving. Social promises get harder to fund, Zoran Mamdani effect, leading to increased public discontent and challenges in maintaining social welfare programs. Politics gets angrier. This is the path where the 1930s analogy becomes stronger, as economic frustration begins to drive institutional stress. CBO's debt path, the Fed's valuation warning, OECD debt concerns, and UNCTAD's fragmentation warning all point in that direction. Third path, crisis and control. A major war shock, financial breakdown, cyber event, or energy choke point pushes governments toward emergency rule. Heavy surveillance, digital control systems, capital steering, and speech restrictions in the name of stability. Think COVID-19 policies all over again. That is the darkest path. I do not present it as inevitable. I present it as a danger to guard against, especially in a world already marked by record displacements, record military spending, and the growing normalization of emergency politics. What do we need to safeguard? Fiscal discipline. We need to maintain honest banking and market. Regulation without stifling productive enterprise. Energy security, not the Joe Biden-Kamala Harris policies. Supply chain redundancy. Strong local institutions. Free speech. The emergency powers are transparent and have strict sunset dates. Human control over AI. And one more thing the 1930s taught brutally. Never let fear make concentrated power look holy. Zoran Mamdani effect? That lesson is older than Roosevelt and newer than tomorrow. So that you know. The 17 SDGs are 1. No poverty, like California. No homeless, LOL. 2. Zero hunger, until you disagree with them. 3. Good health and well-being. 4. Quality education. What they mean was indoctrination. 5. Gender equality. Ask them, what is a female? That should get things going, LOL. 6. Clean water and sanitation. Sure, go to the countries they are from and see how they live compared to the common people. 7. Affordable and clean energy, meaning give up your combustion engines. No, I mean now. 8. Decent work and economic. Growth 9. Industry, innovation, and infrastructure. 10. Reduced inequalities. 11. Sustainable cities and communities. 12. Responsible consumption and production. 13. Climate action. 14. Life below water. 15. Life on land. 16. Peace, justice, and strong institutions. 17. Partnerships for the goals. Easy peasy. I see no problem here. Just give all of your hard-earned money to the central banks and to the globalists. They will make sure the right people get hold of it, LOL.